Welcome back to Fierce Hot Wheel guys. Today we're doing a little video of how to do it yourself. We're going to do an oil change on this car and a couple other things might as well. Just double check some fluids. So mainly first thing what you want to do is make sure that e-brake is on, which is right here for the pedal for the for Avalon. It's like 2004, same one. This one is a 4-seater. Don't mind about all this mess. The mileage, I use a synthetic oil. I do it every 5,000 miles. I only use synthetic oil on my cars. So, and this is the kind I use, a Napa brand. I bought it when it was on sale. I like to use 530. So every time I do an oil change, yep, that's my little helper. She got a candy, so she's here to help me. Every oil change, I also do some Lucas oil. Add a additive for the oil, and I put it for the fuel injection to clean and lubricant. So technically it's recommended for every 3,000 miles or so. So I buy this and I split it between 5-6 cars, like use it 5-6 times, split it between. Also add it every time I do oil change. One other thing, I make sure the window is open. That way I like to leave the key so I can have it. Pop the hood. Also might as well pop the gas tank while I'm at it. So anyways, next thing what you do, pop it. This is a hydraulic. Other thing what I do, since we're kind of sloped down the hill a little bit, I put some bricks. You can buy some special blocks, but why waste money when I got bricks? So I do that on both sides. Next thing, just a heads up for you, whenever you do oil change, look where the filter is. Filter is right here on this car. Some cars are in a funky way. The other thing, what gives a little good hint is where the screw is. The filter, where the filter is, the same side as the screw. So the filter is on this side, the screw underneath for the drain the oil is here. If it's on the right side, then it's on the right side. You know, some cars, more exotic cars, have like 3 screws up to, I know Bugatti has 12. So, yeah. Anyways, so we're going to do, jack it up over here. All right, next thing what you want to do is find a good support where you do this. Normally I do this with underneath, see this piece right here, that's where I do it. Let me just jack it up and I'll show you. Yeah. All right, this is my little helper. Cranking up the car. Uh-oh. One other thing I do is when I drain oil, I'll just do it, might as well right now, is take the fuel cap off. I mean the oil cap off. All right, nevertheless, you see where I put it, where it doesn't destroy the car, but have a good metal. Because if I put it right here, it's all aluminum, it's gonna bend. And then I do the high enough where I can put my stand. If you don't have a stand, find some kind of rim. You can go at a Spalding or Junkyard and buy like this rim for like $5 or so or whatever, or a good stump. Never trust a hydraulic, guys. I never do that. I always have some kind of support, spare support. Not only that, I've actually known a guy who actually got killed like that, trying to do an oil change in his car, and when it collapsed, when it collapsed on him, he was under the car by himself for like 6 hours. Later, he got, when his family found him, took him to the hospital in critical condition. Next day, he was gone. So, a little sad story for you, but never trust the hydraulics. Always find some kind of extra support so you can, it's okay. At least so you can have a spare second where you can at least duck out of the car, you know, in case if something happens. So, just a little safety feature. I always have some kind of stand. You know, I have 2 of them in case if I need to do 2 cars or lift both sides up. Like I said, you see I got bricks, so I'm gonna lock it up. up a little bit. As you see, it's my working car, so I don't care about all this. Am I gonna have a little paint job done later? But whatever. Meanwhile, it's my working car that I use for my work, daily driving, doing a lot of driving on this car. So, all right, next thing I do, go to a store, get some carpet remnants. There's sometimes they just give it out for free, especially, or like, you know, where they have little black spots that they can't sell to customers because they got stains and all that stuff. So this one needs to be gone already because it's all oily getting there. That way you avoid extra mess and you're not on concrete by itself. So as you see, I just line up all the way. See, so here's the screw. I'll just throw the carpet as much as I can all the way towards the jack, and we'll go from there. So next thing, I have another somewhere, but whoa, себе возьми в карман, пока положи. So anyways, you gotta line it up a little bit. I used to have another one, I forgot where I put it, the one that has a lid on it so it doesn't get dusty. I just spray this off, make sure there's no water in here. And I got a couple drips in here, but mostly drained. And you just loosen it up with the right screw. And with the, sorry. Let me just, there you go. Make sure the oil isn't hot so you don't burn yourself. I know some cars you gotta have because it's so thick, you gotta have this hot. But this is, as long as you line it up, get it down a little bit. I'm gonna toss that anyways, the carpet. So make sure you have napkins. One thing I forgot is a roll of napkins that I always have in the garage that I use for oil change and for mechanics when I have it. Do some oil change so I can wipe my hands off and all that stuff. So there you go. One other thing, guys, make sure you're get the right container, because if you got a V8 or a pickup truck and you're doing oil change, make sure you get a bigger container, because or watch out, make sure it doesn't overflow, and then you got to stop, drain, and do all that stuff again. As you see, I never dump the oil on the ground or something. I always dump in this container and then I take it back to O'Reilly's or some other locations where they accept used oil, and they use that as other whatever they need. Or if you got friends, like I have some friends that are mechanics and they have a heater in their garage that burns oil. So this, they said that like if I take it, this is what, 5 gallon, I believe. No, yeah, about 5 gallon. This will last them for like maybe 8 hours, maybe 10 hours. You know, usage depends on how big their heater tank is and how much big of a space they need to heat. So anyways, some people use it as a heater or something, you know. So if you know somebody who uses it, feel free to give them out. If not, take it to a shop where they accept used oil. So meanwhile, make sure it's all that is drained. While it's draining, that's when it's a good time. What I do is double check, like I don't have a lid here for my water, but just double check the water levels. And then once the car is down, check the other fuel oils, like brake fluids and all that stuff, radiator. But meanwhile, this is what I'm going to do, is just fill up the water and take some of this and use it, pour in the gas tank. Just a little bit, like I said, this is enough for like 100 gallons. So my car has about 18 gallons. So basically, it depends how many cars you got. Like I use this for like 5-6 times for the cars, or for like they have a van that'll be doing oil change and all that stuff. So enough for 5 times, 5-6 times. All right, so that is done. What is the gas tank? I filled it up with a little bit of that Lucas cleaning. When you get up to high mileage, I always like to have some kind of find a good spot where I have a spare oil. Try not to find a spot where it has a lot of belts, like you don't put it right here, because if it gets caught, you're gonna make a big mess and all that stuff because once it's wear out. So find a spot where it's not gonna get heated and not where the belts are where it can catch it and make a big mess. You don't want to do that. So here you go. Once the oil is done draining, as you see, technically you should lower it, but you see it's dripping now, so it takes about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The other good thing, you see where the plug is? It's not like right over here where you still have some excess left over here. I might have a little, maybe 1 ounce or 2 ounces of oil leftovers in here, but try to drain as much as you can. So this is good so far. As you see, it's just barely dripping, not running. And then what you do, just tie back the oil. That's all right. All right, once you do that, don't over tighten with the, all I do just a little bit. Once I touch it with my hands, like once the washer touches that, all you need to do is just push it a little bit. Don't over tighten. Don't make a big dent, because you'll still make a big dent, and once you can wear it off, and eventually you'll end up have to replace the whole piece, and you don't want to do that. So, all right, the seals are still good. Sometimes you might need to buy a special seal. Take all this pen down and just change the seal. It depends on the condition of the seal. For transmission, when you do that, you got to do it. As you see, that bolt got it was a Allen wrench. When I changed it, that got worn off, so I just made a little welded that on, so I can just easy access. It's not sticking too low to the ground. Well, and also it gives a little good access and give enough place to weld it. So that's what it does. That's what's there for transmission. All right, next thing, you move this towards where the filter is at, just about lined it up. And like I said, in my car, it's right over here, kind of, as you see, it's not quite lined up. So it's gonna drain. You might need to move it a little bit towards here. So this is what I'm gonna do, just like that. And you see nasty oil. All right, good enough. And then you just untwist also. That's one of the other reasons why you need to have a cold engine, so you don't burn yourself on this when you change on Avalon especially. Now, I know some cars are pretty simple because like they're right underneath where the screw is at, where you're not burning yourself on anything. This is where it gets a little tricky on this car. So there you go. All right, guys, next thing, if you don't have a funnel or something, this is what I did. I just used this as a funnel. Take it halfway, just cut the top of it from one of the oils. See, you got a funnel that's always handy. You can just put it right on top of your used oil. And there you go, you got a funnel, as you see. That way you're not making a big mess. Meanwhile, one other thing I like to do, take a little oil, pour it in here, rub the sealer, just like that. Don't need to do too much, just an oil cap is enough. And then you got to move this back in a little bit. That's the other thing what I like to do, have my other one, because I had a cover where I could just let this upside down and have a drain. But meanwhile, this is what I do. And same thing, don't need to over tighten. Make sure it goes nice and straight. It's a bad angle to see it. but it should go nice and straight. If you have a little issue, take it back, take it off, and try to do it again. Once you feel the grip, it touches the back wall. I want you to just tighten up a little bit, but hand tight. Don't need to have a. That's one of the other things why I don't like to take it to a shop, because they tighten the crap out of the filters that you can't take them off. But as long as you have it tight enough where you can, where the seal is tight, this seal, because if you do the crap out of it, but you can just rip the. I've actually had that where I accidentally over tightened and just that it didn't tighten right and all that stuff, so just ripped it off. So I had to go out, take my other car, and go get another another filter. The other thing, what I like to do to avoid extra mess is take my old napkin, plug the hole, put it in here, keep it right side up for right now until it goes to garbage can at least. That way I'm avoiding extra mess. So anyways, done with that. So now I put this first. Same thing, this is good for lots of fuel, lots of oil. That lasts me up to 10 times or so, maybe more. So don't need to do a lot, just about that much. You don't need to do the whole thing. It's too much because of the thickness. You don't want to have it. Also, you got to make sure, like this Prius has an oil, double check, because some cars have you can only use certain. For me, I could use this. For some cars, it says specifically like C530. That's what you can use. Some like that Prius is 020, so it means the thickness and all that stuff. So don't use any thicker than that, otherwise you can destroy the car easily. Also, yeah, just pay attention to some little details like that. What kind of fuel they recommend. And when I call the mechanics, like, what if I put 530 on the Prius? They're like, you don't want to end up with a new engine, because the tubes, he said, is like too small, and this oil is a little too thick, so it doesn't go through as fast. And when you crank up the car, you can have a few seconds here and there where all those spin wheels are without the oil. Doesn't when it heats up, by the time it goes through all the tubes, you won't gonna have enough oil where it just destroys the engine. Like that would be a big mistake if you do that. So always contact, if you have some kind of mechanic that you trust, at least give advices. Some people that know, always do that. So I just pour a little bit so I can have some oil. I know my car gets about 3-4 quarts since I added some oil in it already, the lubricant. And then I drop it, and then I make sure the car is all nice and straight on the flat surface somewhere where you can check the oil level. One other thing why I like to use this kind of funnel, because I can always stop it like that, just push it in and they can watch let it drain. And I know that I won't be making a lot of mess, maybe just a few drips here and there, but at least it's just not as messy. Because sometimes when you put a funnel, especially with this, as you see where the barrel, the metal inside is like right over here, so it just stops and can't just have it nice and firm. But like that, you can feel it safely. Alright guys, so once you get close, don't try to overfill it. Make sure you keep an eye on your oil levels. As you see, this is your markers. I know the oil is too clean to see it, so it should be right about, as you see, where it's right about right over here, where it needs to be. I know I got just a little too much, but this is just enough because my filter is empty. All my hoses are empty, so that will fill in the gap. But make sure it's just, if you do overfill, just slide a little bit, But try to hit that second nail mark right over here. This little mark. Not the first one means add this one. That's where it should be. So once I start up the car, let it run for like a minute or so. Never start a car without any oil in it because you're going to destroy it right away. So start up the car and you'll see that it should be right where you need it.